Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is precisely 5:33 p.m. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, this meeting is officially open with a quorum present. If needed, we do have Spanish translation services available this evening, and I'd like to note we've had them available for the last 2 years.
And if I could jump in, si hay alguien necesita traducción, tenemos audiófonos acá atrás.
Did you have my 2 years in there?
I got it.
This evening, our pledges will be led by students from Benbrook Elementary School, where Shelley Meyer is the principal. She will introduce the students in just a moment, but first, let's please stand to recite the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Mrs. Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Scribner, the students from Benbrook Elementary leading the pledges this evening are Student Council Officers Mason Horton. Stand up, please. And Morgan Gibbons. They have their families with him here tonight, and we have several other Benbrook families and staff members here. If y'all would please stand. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. You all did a wonderful job. Clint Bond with the Communications Department will help us with some of the other recognitions that we have this evening.
Thank you, President Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Scribner. We have kind of a Benbrook thing going on this evening. Our greeters are from the Army JROTC unit at Benbrook Middle High School, where Richard Pendlin is the principal. They are Cadet Battalion Commander Victoria Ring, and if you guys would just raise your hand, please, when I call your name. Cadet Major Naroli Clayton, Cadet Command Sergeant Major Scott Avery, Cadet Major Robert Flores, Cadet Captain Allison Cobbs, Cadet Sergeant Margarita Lozano, and Cadet Captain David Petunat. And their senior instructor is Captain Marcel Dudley. So let's thank them for helping us this evening. And here we go with Benbrook again. Our parent recognition for this evening comes to us from Benbrook Elementary School. Steve Watson could not be here with us this evening, but his wife Christina is here, so we can still talk about him. Mr. Watson has been an active member of the Benbrook family for over 5 years, and by the way, Mrs. Watson has taught at Benbrook for 8 years. Throughout Mr. Watson's years working with the campus, he has become the epitome of a change agent. When Mr. Watson sees a need, he fills that need. Some of the support he has provided includes running the chess club for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students, actively participating in the campus PTA. And even with a busy schedule as an engineer at Lockheed Martin, Mr. Watson never misses an opportunity to make a difference. Current Benbrook Middle High School students Sam and Ben Noors, who began their training under Mr. Watson and have won the UIL chess tournament every year since 4th grade, had this to say: Mr. Watson is an outstanding chess coach. He gives his valuable time every week to the students at Benbrook Elementary, and he helps the students improve their game and their confidence level. He's a wonderful mentor and a role model. And when asked to sum up what Mr. Watson means to the campus, Principal Shelley Meyer said, Mr. Watson has been a tremendous help in so many ways. He has served in a difficult-to-fill PTA position as treasurer, and he coordinates the chess team practicing all year and participating in the UIL meet. The Family Communications Department is honored to present Mr. Steve Watson of Benbrook Elementary with a certificate of appreciation for family engagement, and again, accepting the award on his behalf is his wife, Christina. And she's not going to stand because she has a little baby in her lap. The next portion of the recognitions will be done by Dr. Lady Weltman from our Career and Technical Education Department and Dr. Ken Ross of Lockheed Martin representing our project Lead the Way partners. First, Dr. Ross.
Thanks for the doctor title. President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, board members, it's a pleasure to be here. Lockheed Martin is honored to help elevate student interest and performance in science, technology, engineering, and math through our partnership with Fort Worth ISD and Project Lead the Way. Along with Project Lead the Way's fantastic curriculum, our engineers are routinely in the classroom sharing the world of opportunity through STEM, whether it's Stomp Rockets with elementary and middle school students, mentoring robotics teams, the classroom takeover we did last month at Western Hills High School, and our high school internship program. The partnership is strong and enduring, and Project Lead the Way is at the foundation.
Project Lead the Way's recognition program is designed to honor districts and schools committed to increasing student access, engagement, and achievement in their PLTW programs. We're excited and privileged to recognize districts and schools that are empowering students to thrive in an evolving world and achieve outstanding results from PLTW programs. To be a nationally recognized program at an elementary campus, a minimum of 75% of the students at that campus must complete a launch module, which includes several activities and a project that are related to an overarching problem in the area of STEM. In addition, the school must offer a minimum of 2 modules per grade level and have at least 2 PLTW lead teachers on their campus. In Texas, there are currently around 150 active districts with an elementary program, but only 5 districts have campuses receiving the 2018-2019 Distinguished Launch School recognition. I'm very excited to announce that M.H. Moore Elementary School is one of the nationally recognized campuses. I would also like to take a moment to thank M.H. Moore and Fort Worth ISD for hosting several PLTW launch showcase visits this year for educators and industry partners across Texas. M.H. Moore Elementary is led by their principal, Ms. Yoder. The campus has 14 kindergarten through 5th grade PLTW teachers served by lead teachers Courtney Haveman and Tina Culp. Mrs. D is the science assistant and is responsible for all PLTW scheduling, supplies, and campus program organization. On behalf of Project Lead the Way, Lockheed Martin, and Fort Worth ISD, we thank you for your commitment to your teachers, students, and their families, and your school community. Ms. Yoder, will you please come forward to be recognized and receive your PLTW Distinguished Campus banner?
I want you all to stand up because it's because of you all that you have this.
To be a nationally recognized middle school campus, a minimum of 50% of the students at that campus must complete a Gateway unit, which is a STEM unit that lasts 9 weeks to a semester and includes multiple activities and projects. In addition, the school must offer a minimum of 1 Gateway unit per grade level, and 25% of the students advancing to high school must have participated in 2 or more units. In Texas, there are currently over 360 active districts with middle school programs, but only 2 campuses across the whole state received 2018-2019 Distinguished Gateway School recognition. Therefore, it is a great accomplishment that Fort Worth ISD's Young Women's Leadership Academy has earned this honor for the 2nd year in a row. Young Women's Leadership Academy is led by their principal, Ms. Albury. Their PLTW Gateway teacher is Marcia Bean. She teaches 6 different modules across 3 grade levels and is responsible for the overall organization of the school's Gateway program. YWLA is home to several Lockheed Martin interns and the famous Dorkside robotics team. On behalf of the Project Lead the Way, Lockheed Martin, and Fort Worth ISD, we thank you for your commitment to your teachers, students, and their families, and your school community. Ms. Albury, will you please come forward to be recognized and receive your PLTW Distinguished Campus banner? Ms. Albury is unable to be here. We'd like to invite Marcia Bean to accept on her behalf.
Members of the board, every year we take a few moments to acknowledge the accomplishments of our student athletes both on and off the field. This 35-year tradition was begun by District 4 Representative T.A. Sims. Tonight we are introducing the middle school scholar athletes. Students are chosen on the basis of their grade point average and their athletic achievement with an emphasis on the GPA. Students, if you would please stand as your name is called. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would help, it would help if you would please hold your applause until each school is completed. There are 2 students for each school. We'll begin with Benbrook Middle School, and the scholar athletes are Julie Staggs with a 4.22 GPA on a 5.0 scale. Her sports are volleyball and track and field. And Tyler Madera, a 3.77 GPA, football, basketball, and track and field. From Daggett Middle School, Mariam Fatuma, 4.0 GPA, volleyball, basketball, track and field, and soccer. And Ryan Tang, 4.0 GPA, football, and track and field. Jackay Middle School, Acacia Stevens, 3.2 GPA, volleyball and track and field, and Marcellus Jones, 3.25 GPA, football, basketball, track and field. From Elder Middle School, Gisela Martinez, 3.93 GPA, track and field, and Nathan Lopez, 3.83, football and basketball. From the Leadership Academy at Forest Oak Middle School, May Moe, 3.83, soccer, and David Willis, 3.57, football and basketball. From Handley Middle School, Micaiah Claiborne, 3.83 basketball and soccer, and Jaden Strahan, 3.8 GPA, track and field and soccer. William James Middle School, Paulina Gonzalez, 4.0 GPA, volleyball, basketball, track and field and soccer, and Damian Patillo, 4.0 GPA, basketball. Kirkpatrick Middle School, Maya Ramirez, 4.0 GPA, volleyball, track and field, and soccer, and Sahil Fanu, 4.0 GPA, basketball and soccer. From Leonard Middle School, Areli Nunez, 3.7 GPA, volleyball, basketball, track and field, and Nathan Wynn, 3.87 GPA, track and field. From McClung Middle School, Andrea Vasquez, 3.72 GPA for soccer, and Ronnie Justice, 3.6 GPA, football. McLean Middle School, Elise Stewart, 4.0 GPA, cross-country and basketball, and Lucas Trimble, 3.97, cross-country, basketball, and track and field. From Meacham Middle School, Maria Caballero, 3.83 GPA, volleyball, and Julian Banda, 3.8 GPA for track and field. From Meadowbrook Middle School, Katana Simeon, 3.9 GPA, volleyball, basketball, track and field, and soccer, and Micah Powell, 3.6, football, basketball, track and field, and soccer. Monig Middle School, Ava Houston, 3.95 GPA, volleyball, track and field, and Turner DeMott, 3.9 GPA, basketball, and soccer. Morningside Middle School, Lillian Chapman, 3.76, basketball, track and field, and Mohammed Mansour, 3.64 GPA, track and field, and soccer. Riverside Middle School, Jennifer Martinez, 3.9 GPA, soccer, and Emmanuel Garcia, 3.9 GPA, basketball. Rosemont Middle School, Karen Ochoa, 3.9 GPA, volleyball, basketball, and soccer, and Leonardo Molina, 3.82 GPA, football. Stripling Middle School, Olivia Weeks, 4.1 GPA on a 5.0 scale, basketball and track and field, and Logan Anderson, 4.0 GPA, basketball and track and field. Wedgwood Middle School, Isabella Hall, 3.8 GPA, volleyball, track and field, soccer, and Cameron Connolly, 3.64 GPA, football and basketball. And if you will allow me to combine the last two, from YWLA Burberry Myers, 4.0, volleyball and basketball, and from Young Men's Leadership Academy, Elijah Adebayo, 3.81 GPA, track and field, and soccer. This concludes the middle school scholar-athlete introduction. Would all the middle school coaches present please stand or just raise a hand so we may recognize your efforts? And if you're a proud family member of one of these middle school athletes, would you please stand or wave a hand? Coach Todd Vesely is the Executive Director of Athletics for the Fort Worth ISD. Thank you, Coach Vesely. President Jackson, I now yield to Dr. Scribner for a few special words of recognition.
Thank you very much, Clinton. Thank you, President Jackson, members of the board. Tonight, we bid farewell to three long-standing servants of the students and citizens of Fort Worth. They represent over 60 years of service to the Fort Worth ISD. Each is a special person, and each has an individual style of getting things done. But we can all agree each is motivated by a deep love of her community and a strong desire to do right by the children of our city. We have for each of you a special certificate that details not only your years of service, but your leadership roles as president, vice president, second vice president, or secretary during your tenure. Tonight will not be the final hail and farewell. Many of you attended a reception for Mrs. Moss on April the 18th. It was a great occasion with lots of fun, photographs, and fellowship, and there were friends and family not only from across Fort Worth and from across Texas, but indeed the entire nation. We will honor Dr. Sutherland and Ms. Needham at 2 events in the next few weeks. Dr. Sutherland will be honored on May 24th at the steel signing ceremony for the new Southwest High School Athletics Center. And we will also be remembering 2 Southwest coaches at the same time. And Mrs. Needham will be honored at the groundbreaking for the new Overton Park Elementary School on June 6th. We welcome your attendance at both of these ceremonies. And now please join me in thanking these servant leaders for their extraordinary dedication to Fort Worth ISD. And Mrs. Moss, could you take a picture of me? That matches your outfit.
I get to take the best picture.
Great. Thank you. All right, I'll skip this over here for you. Yeah, and they'll help you get to the car. Now we're back to Toby. Now we're back to you, Toby. We will go. Yes, we'll do the presentation. Why don't we let everybody go?
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break so everyone can take photos, since that's what we're doing anyway.
bring me down. I would walk with my eyes to the ground. But I knew I could find a way to push through. Every word they said, I grew strong. I knew right from wrong, and now I feel it too. I'm alive. Yeah, I'm alive. I'm alive. Yeah, I'm alive. I love every moment with you, and I want you to know I do. I'm alive. Yeah, I'm alive.
I'd say the silence means we're going to resume. Dr. Sutherland, what do you think? I'm sorry. No, you're good. All right, everybody here? Okay. At this time, we're going to move on to number 4 on the agenda, which is Lone Star Governance. I'm handing it off to Dr. Scribner for a quick introduction.
Thank you very much, President Jackson, members of the school community, and trustees. Tonight, we're going to update the board on our second goal, middle years mathematics. As you know, the board, the district, and myself, we have 3 academic goals. First is early literacy, second is middle years math, and third is college and career readiness. In the same way that early literacy, third grade reading is defined and supported by preschool, by birth to 3-year-old support here in the community, by kindergarten, first and second grade instruction, as well as third grade. Freshman algebra also is supported by middle years math. So today, we're going to provide a mathematics update in preparation as students crescendo to take their algebra examination in freshman year of high school. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Chief Academic Officer, Mr. Charlie Carroll, who will introduce and start the presentation. Charlie.
Good evening, Dr. Scribner, President Jackson, members of the board. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present this evening, middle grades math. I think many of you were probably serving on the board in 2012 when the state underwent a pretty cataclysmic event with the publishing of a new set of math standards under then Commissioner Williams. And if you remember that, what happened at that time was that full grade levels of standards were pushed from one grade level to the grade level below without a growth year or anything like that. And since that time, many districts around the state have been playing catch up in mathematics. And it has been a very good way for us to look at our practices, to adjust our practices, and to accelerate as much as we can what we're doing with students in mathematics throughout the district. So one of the first things that we have done in mathematics over the last 2 years is change the way that we're approaching student growth. We're now going in and using a screener, very much as we do in literacy with our students, to determine where they're strong, where they're weak, and what areas that we need to be specifying on in small group instruction when we're working with our students. They come to us in a number of different ways, and we're very excited now to have this electronic monitoring tool, and this will be our first year, having given our first measurement in September, taken another one in January, and about to do the May one, where we will have a full data set moving forward next year with student growth in mathematics. The plan, classroom to classroom, is for every teacher in every classroom where mathematics is taught is to have the data set that they need to look at skills and abilities that students don't have, gaps that they have, gaps in their learning, and specify that type of learning in small group instruction so that we see growth with every child. I mean, you'll recall when I was in school, math was taught to me and to many of my classmates as a whole group, full class, let's do the worksheet and check back and see what the answers are and do your homework. We live in a different world now, and so identifying what skills students need and looking at their growth over time has become a norm in our math classrooms, just like it does in literacy and other areas as well, because we can't make any assumptions about what they come to us with. What we see, like last year when we had a November implementation of our electronic monitoring system, is we had students coming to us in a number of different conditions. We had students who came to us who were very high academically and still experienced very high growth. The students that it really helped, though, which you're going to see in some data slides that followed this one, were students who came to us and who were in that blue category up there, who were low in achievement to that point, but based on what we were able to establish with the system, experienced high growth. Where we're really needing to specify now and spend a lot of time is down in the red area, where students who come to us with low achievement in prior grades are not growing as much as we want them to, and look at instructional practices related to why that's happening. So this is an interesting slide. This is a graph of if the blue marks at the top are based on a RIT score, and the RIT score identifies exactly where our kids are in 18-19. So if you look at each one of those red bars going across the bottom, that's 17-18. That's based on 2 data points, a November and a May from last year. And then the blue points are where our data points are this year. So we're experiencing tremendous growth from even where we were last year. The black line that goes across the graph would be NWEA projections. That's where they would have identified our projected growth to have been this year. So in many of those grade levels, we're outpacing growth that was anticipated by the publishers of our electronic monitoring system. However, when you look at the graph, the board focus on middle years mathematics becomes pretty clear. Where we are right there is in 2 of the 3 weakest areas on the graph that really, really require our attention and work. So when you look at this one, and what we've done with this graph is in the blue bars, we put projected and projections from NWEA against where our actual growth level is for each one of these grade levels. And again, the same data pattern that played out on the slide before this one plays out on this slide as well. So when we break it down demographically and look and see against all students where African American, Hispanic, and white students play out, this is one of those slides we take some encouragement that we are actually above projections and norms for where the demographic groups should be, or where we are in district. And so this is a promising trend that we're hoping to continue based on the data gathering and continued achievement of our students. This slide, the economically disadvantaged number, when we go through and actually disaggregate our numbers, and 86% of our students are economically disadvantaged, that 3.3 growth number against the 3.0 projection is very encouraging. And the English language students that we have, English learner students that we have being within a percentage point of a national norm, and our SPED students being within 0.4 of a national norm, there's room to grow there that you will also see reflected in other data reports from the district. And the GT numbers are good. By the way, this is Shannon Hernandez, who's the Director of Mathematics in Fort Worth ISD, and she's going to take you through the last 8 or 9 slides that go from a data breakdown to what we're doing with our data.
Good evening. President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, members of the board. I want to bring us back to our goal 2. And in this particular goal, we're focusing in on Algebra 1 with those progress measures of the 6th through 8th mathematics. So what are we doing with the data? So upon looking at the data and talking with teachers, we realized that we really need to streamline things. We need to simplify things. We need to be clearer and more direct with the teachers in understanding what student outcomes that we're wanting. So one of the ways that we're doing that is we're taking the data from the map growth information that you saw previously, and we are uploading that into a digital system in which it will create individual learning pathways for students. And those individual learning pathways, it's because it is a digital system, and the students in middle years math will have digital devices, so they'll be able to work on the system during class if the teachers need to use it for interventions during class. They can use it before school, after school, if they're doing Saturday camps. They can also use it at home as well. Another way that we're using the data is we're continuing professional learning that we started last year over key mathematical strands. And those 5 key mathematical strands you can see on the screen. And the teachers, when we started the professional learning, their concern was, they kind of know the math, but they needed other ways to be able to teach the math. So instead of providing interventions where they just go slower and louder, they wanted alternative ways to be able to teach students. And so that's what we focused on. So for example, this is called a rectangular prism. And so students see these all the time in their textbooks and worksheets and everything else. And sometimes it has some numbers on it. So the teachers could ask, what's the surface area, what's the volume of this, hand them the formula, they plug it in, they do the mathematics, and they generate an answer, right? So the issue here is that do they really truly have an understanding of the mathematics? Do they really understand what surface area and volume are? So the way we do that is we actually connect it to something that's real world. So if you talk to kids, for example, the cereal box is an example of a rectangular prism. And so the kids can actually relate to that more so than just that figure itself, okay? And so the teachers can talk about how much does cereal can the box hold and things like that. So really giving the kids the idea of what that is. Along with the professional learning, I know this slide is kind of hard to see. That's just kind of a laundry list of all of the professional learning that we're offering this summer, as well as when school starts after hours and on Saturdays. So the math department is offering over 250 professional learning sessions for teachers to be able to attend so that they can strengthen their math strategies and things to be able to help students. So in addition to that, we've worked to revise the assessment schedule. It'll give us multiple data points in between that beginning of year and middle of year assessment so that we can progress monitor students. So we don't have to wait until the middle of the year or until STAR to see where students are struggling. And then also, one of the things that we have in Fort Worth that teachers really appreciate is we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of resources that we provide for them to be able to do interventions and enrichments and things, but sometimes there's a lot to sift through. So in our curriculum documents, we're providing a match for those key kind of knowledge and skills for them and showing exactly where in those resources and what exactly it is that they can utilize without them having to spend countless hours trying to dig through everything. So I'm going to provide you with some examples of some of the documents that we're utilizing this coming year to support teachers and, like I said, streamlining and kind of simplifying things for them. So this is an example of a scope and sequence document. A scope and sequence document basically provides kind of the order of the way the concept should be taught, as well as it gives the scope, meaning, how many days should we spend on this. It really provides the emphasis. So the purpose of this particular document, and this is an example of a 6th grade math one, first unit, so equivalent forms of fractions, decimals, and percents, and it shows the number of days, that roughly that they should take on this particular concept. Has the dates on there for them, and it lists the concepts. And so for the teachers, they can look at this fairly quickly and know where their emphasis needs to be. So if something takes 1 day versus 2 days or 3 days, they really kind of know, hey, this is something that's pretty important. I need to make sure that I'm spending an ample amount of time on this. So it really kind of helps focus them. It also provides them with the state standards. That's what that 6.4G and all of those numbers are, the reference to state standards, and then the number of days. This is an example of an assessment blueprint. So as I said earlier, we revised the assessment schedule. So we're also providing teachers with a blueprint that will help support them in their planning. So this is what we call providing them with a way to backwards design, where they kind of start with the end in mind from their planning and work backwards. So to kind of look at that a little bit closer, so the documents, and again, this is a sixth grade example. So the documents have different parts on them to really help the teachers in what they're looking at. So for example, reporting category, that's reporting category one. And what that is, that's where the state designates where those standards kind of fall when they're doing the testing. And then the next column, the big ideas. So the big idea for this one is equivalent forms of fractions, decimals, and percents. So for example, 5/10 is the same as 1/2 is the same as 50%. The next column lists the standards that we're actually testing on this particular assessment. If you look at the PR or S column, that stands for process, readiness, or supporting. The supporting one is an item that may or may not be tested on the test. It could be tested every time, and it's usually only one question on the test if it is on the test. Whereas R stands for readiness, and what that means is it will definitely be tested on every assessment with usually more than one question. Okay, and then P stands for process. So in this particular instance, 6.4F was a supporting standard, 14% of the test, because it's only one question. This test has 7 test questions on it, so it's only 14%. And so if you look at the readiness one, it's 43%. It had 3 questions. So the teachers can look at this and know where the emphasis really needs to be on my teaching and what I need to plan. So they now have 2 different documents to really kind of help with that. And then finally, this is an example of one of our curriculum unit guides. It's a little snippet of it. It's a little bit longer than this. And this is just a little part of the resources. And in the resources, for example, we have benchmark percent representations, and that is one of the concepts that they're teaching in this unit. And you'll notice under there we have, the resource that they can use. We also have benchmark percent activities and things that they can do that are hands-on activities with students. And then, as I said earlier, with our with the MAP skills, there's a lot of information in there, and that teachers need to be able to sift through. So we put right there, the instructional area and strand to kind of narrow it down for them as well. And then we also list in there what manipulatives are appropriate for this particular unit for students to be able to use. Have any questions?
You all have prompted 3 questions. First one on the board is Dr. Ann Sutherland.
Well, I had hoped that since this was the last meeting that I will be at, that it would be possible to be very positive about what was going on. But I am extremely distressed by this report because it doesn't show where the kids stand in relation to the rest of the world. If you have who's on grade level and who's not on grade level, you can tell immediately how we compare. But if you set your own benchmarks and then decide who's approaching it, you can put anything you want to in it. And so really we have no information at all. By the strangest happenstance of fate, I got an email today with some data about what was going on in one of the math classes levels in our high schools. According to the district data, as of the second assessment period, only 13% of the students were at or above grade level in the entire district in this particular grade in mathematics. So I have a question for you, Ms. Hernandez. How did you feel about cutting 20% of the instruction time last year? And did you think that it was going to result in a reduction in the level of performance of students? I mean, scholars know that time on task is the #1 predictor of success. So how do you feel about the fact that we cut the instruction time from 55 minutes to 45? And I chopped 5 minutes off for getting rid of, so I went 50 to 40, that's 80%. So how do you feel about that, and do you think it was successful? I asked Ms. Hernandez.
Yeah, and President Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Sutherland, I'd like Charlie, our Chief Academic Officer, take crack at it as well. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I guess you're entitled to have anybody answer that you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Charlie.
I think the interim results that we're working with are first-year interim results. And as always, Dr. Sutherland, all of us, when we look at those, are not happy when we see students not achieving where they should be achieving, just like everyone else would be. And so all of us recognize, Shannon included, there can be various reasons attached to that, including instructional time. And so as we move forward over the course of this year, continue to look at those results, continue to look at interim results as we go, that will be a consideration as we circle back on that topic, because it is important. And having time for guided practice and working through with knowledgeable peers and teachers and looking at that critically as an administrative team is something that my team does and that Dr. Scribner's team does. And so that is something that we have done and will continue to do. But to answer your question, no one feels particularly good when looking at interim results as a first blush on the test when that level of achievement is achieved. Only when we come back and look at them and Shannon comes back and looks at them, we have to take a couple of different things into consideration, one of which is the alignment of what's going on with the curriculum, taught curriculum, and the test to begin with.
Okay, I asked a question and I didn't get an answer. When you cut the instructional time by approximately 20% in every math class in secondary age, did you think the scores were going to go down, or did you think they were going to stay the same? The answer is yes or no, or however you want to phrase it.
And we'll find that out at the end of the cycle when we get our data.
I asked what they thought was going to happen, because to me, the problem is that this should have been highlighted before this ever happened, before this disaster came about. So you're choosing not to say. I also want to tell you that I learned by accident today that a number of the courses are going to be blocked next year, which all I can say is thank goodness, because you're not going to get anywhere with 40-minute classes, which I'm told are often as few as 20 minutes. So I'm very glad to hear that you're going to block. I heard that again from one of the teachers somewhere in the district. But I really feel that this was a mistake that should never have happened. And I think that's what I think. I say this as a professional who wrote her dissertation on the performance of students in Title I schools. Okay, and I know about the growth mid-year between fall and spring, which is how we measure it. And I know that this doesn't carry over from year to year. And so what you end up with, this is very important for those of you that are going to be on the board, you cannot measure growth for the spring because you miss the summer drop-off. And for kids with a high level of poverty or whatever else you want to say, there is significant drop-off. In my dissertation, which fortunately I still got my doctorate, it turned out the determining characteristic of whether the kids learned a lot or not was the interval in the testing period. The shorter the testing period, the more they gained, which is just a complete artifact of nothing, which I'm sure you can appreciate. I appreciate your indulgence, and I'm sorry to bring this up at the very end, but you happen to hit on something which I regard as malpractice, and I haven't heard any, and I'm not blaming you. I know that this was done by people without the active support of a lot of staff members, but the buck starts at the top, and it's time to have a change, because this is not going to change as long as you've got 40-minute periods. Period. It's just not going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Trustee Paz?
Dr. Sutherland, it's been a long time since we've been on the same page for something, and I'm glad to see we're going to go out on a high note. Okay. So, respectfully, this is a Lone Star Governance presentation on middle years math. I feel like I don't have all of the information that I need. And respective to, the fact that these are interim, that what Dr. Sutherland is referencing are interim results. The whole purpose of us having a monitoring calendar is to do interim reviews. I mean, the whole purpose is to have this is a quarterly review of these specific metrics. So, that doesn't mean that we change course halfway through because the data looks bad. But we are supposed to have a conversation about it. So, I know that there's a little discomfort and it's not easy to talk about, but I think her questions are valid. I would like to understand a little bit more of what I'm looking at, specific to the blue and green page, the one that looks like this. Okay. And I think a lot of this is just that presenting with the curse of knowledge. I don't do what you do every day. So a lot of these abbreviations are new to me. And especially our electronic monitoring system. So what specific program is this that we are looking at the results from?
We use a program from the Northwest Educational Association. It's a research organization that publishes an electronic monitoring program called MAP, M-A-P.
Okay. So that was my next question, is what does NWEA stand for? So that answers that question. And so when you refer to the RIT score, what is that?
I'm going to have to defer to Ms. Hernandez on that one.
Okay. What does RIT stand for?
So RIT stands for Roush Units, and so RIT for short. And so what that is, it is a measurement that they have used from norming from across the nation. And so basically what it is it provides a score for students that's not linked to grade level. So if, for example, a student is scoring at a 235, then they're considered algebra ready, no matter what grade level they're at.
Okay. So here, okay, I think that what is confusing to me is that in the green, it's showing it says Fort Worth ISD, and then the blue is projected. So is the green where Fort Worth ISD is today, and the blue is where we project to be in the future, or is this what we had projected by the end of the year versus where we are today?
Right, so our students take the test 3 times a year, so we took the beginning of year assessment, and so that bases that projected measure. So that blue column actually shows that's the projection that we were projected to make at the middle of year. And the green is actually what we made at the middle of the year.
Okay, that's helpful, because when you were doing the presentation, I was like, these numbers look worse than the others. Clarification is good. And so, when we're looking at middle year's math, so we have our goal and our goal progress measures, which this is the last year. This is the final data set that we're looking at the end of this year. So we're not actually using this this is not one of the metrics that we are monitoring. It's good information to have, but it doesn't tell us, or maybe it does. How does this tell us how students between the grades 6 through 8 are performing on their STAR math assessments, or exceeding progress on their STAR math assessments?
Right, so obviously we don't have the 2019 data yet for the grade levels, but for last year, for Algebra 1, we were at 83%. 83% met, and so we actually adjusted the goal from 85% to 87%. And then for, and I don't have the 2.2 measure, but the 2.1 measure, we were at 27% performing on or above grade level last year. So we adjusted the goal from, which was 27% to 30% for 2019.
Okay. And then finally, can you, BOY and MOY?
BOY stands for beginning of year, and MOY stands for middle of year.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Moss?
Thank you, President Jackson. Thank you for that explanation. I think the board at one time asked if you would not use the acronyms without giving us an explanation. and I think that would save a little time. Also, in looking at the scores, my concern is this is middle school, and we're going to have math academies during the summer, right? So if you think about where all of this starts, it's in elementary. So we might think about having math academies in elementary so that when they get to middle school, they are prepared. But when you start in, sixth grade, I think the job is a little harder, more difficult. But I think if we would have math academies in elementary, maybe third, fourth, and fifth grade, the students would be on grade level in math by the time they get to middle school. And I say that because I was looking for a math academy for my grandson. And I saw these academies, and I sent back an email, and I didn't get an answer. So I wanted to know what were we doing about math in elementary. Excuse me. Are we doing anything?
Yes, we actually have summer programs for our elementary students. So we have summer school, and then also for
No, the math academy, summer school, not for, if you're lagging behind, not that type of summer school. I want one for a student that's, doing well and on grade level for math. So who would I talk with?
that would be me.
I didn't hear you.
I said that would be me.
Okay, I'll call you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Moss. Trustee Needham?
Thank you, President Jackson. Charlie and Shannon, thank you very much for this report.
Sure.
It's very interesting. I know we're not at exactly where we want to be, but we're making good progress and appreciate all the work that y'all went to.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you all for a great presentation.
Welcome.
Ms. Hernandez, thank you. At this time, we will hear public comment. Let me remind you that because of restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct the person to visit with staff about the issue. While this board listens to concerns of a general nature and issues of common and individual concern, this board will not hear complaints about specific individual employees or public officers during the public comment session. Speakers shall refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during their comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy to have a complaint heard pursuant to the applicable board policy. In accordance with board policy BED local, speakers shall have a 3-minute time limit, and we ask that you follow this rule. At this time, we have 3 speakers. Evelyn Mandel is our first speaker.
Good evening, board members of Fort Worth ISD. I appreciate the time to speak today and for your open ears. My name is Evelyn Mandel, and I'm an undergraduate student at Texas Christian University. This spring, I researched the issue of segregation in the public school systems across the nation, and this led me to focus on the elementary schools here in Fort Worth ISD. And I found a trend across Fort Worth ISD. Some schools are much more heavily concentrated with economically disadvantaged students, while other schools are not. And those schools with more disadvantaged students tend to also have a greater minority student population in comparison. And this has led to many elementary schools in Fort Worth ISD being very separated and segregated by race and socioeconomic status. And I believe the segregation stems from how school attendance zones are drawn according to neighborhood. And this results in students of a low-income neighborhood being concentrated in one school, and while students of a high-income neighborhood are being concentrated at another school. So today I wanted to take a look at two schools, Como Elementary School and Tanglewood Elementary School, and this is because these are pretty highly segregated schools, alarmingly segregated, and these schools are only 3 miles apart from each other, and their zones touch one another. And despite how close these zones are, their school enrollment by race and socioeconomic status looks drastically different. According to TEA, in the 2017-18 school year, Como Elementary School was made up of 56.5% African American students, and Tanglewood was 3.4%. Como had 35.9% Hispanic students, and Tanglewood had 8.2% Hispanic. Como had 3.5% white students, and Tanglewood had 75.9% white students. The most alarming statistic to me was that Como was made up of 92.8% economically disadvantaged students, while Tanglewood, being less than 3 miles away, was made up of 5.7% economically disadvantaged students. So I looked further into the TEA report cards, and they revealed this pattern over many years. I looked back at least five years, and this pattern is shown, as well as the pattern of academic struggle in Como Elementary School and academic success in Tanglewood Elementary School. And studies show that economic composition of a school's population can greatly affect a student's educational success, and this is for many reasons, including a student's resources and support at home, a school's resources, and the overall identity a student forms for themselves when their view is limited by their neighborhood and their school. So what's the solution? Well, I believe that the solution lies in, or at least one possible solution lies in the drawing of the school attendance zones. And since you are board, okay.
Can you finish your sentence, please?
Okay. Since you, the board members, draw these school attendance zones, I just come here today to ask you to look at these zones and reconsider how they're currently being drawn.
Thank you, Ms. Mendel. Carlos Tercios and Stephen Poole.
Good evening, Madam President Toby Jackson, Dr. Scribner, and the board. My name is Carlos Tercios, and I'm here to show appreciation to the retiring Board of Trustees and to congratulate President Toby Jackson's successful re-election campaign. I also want to congratulate the newly elected Board of Trustees for their successful run, as all three of them are here sitting in the auditorium. And I want to thank Mrs. Moss's 30-year service for the East Side community, Mrs. Needham's 20-year service to the Northwest Side community, and lastly, I want to give a giant thank you to Dr. Sutherland. Dr. Sutherland has shown tremendous support for the District 6 community. She has been an advocate for many schools, including schools that do not reside in her district. Dr. Sutherland has shown commitment to causes in the board even when she was alone. She is a hawk when it comes to numbers in the district, and I must thank her for the support that she gave to the World Languages Institute. She was one of the very few trustees that had faith in my school and never gave up. She fought rigorously for our cause, the prevention of the separation of the World Languages Institute. We now have a beautiful building, and the students and teachers are enjoying it greatly. I wish you a happy retirement, Dr. Sutherland. I am glad to call you a friend. Your departure will be greatly felt on the board. Lastly, I would like to give some advice to the Board of Trustees. It is the board's job to foster good community relations with the community. At the end of the day, what is important is improving our education system and tackling any educational inequities that may exist, to have proper transparency in the community, to check the superintendent's central administration reports, and to once again foster good community relations. I know with the new trustees that premise will be accomplished under the great leadership of President Jackson. Thank you.
I just have to take a point of privilege and make one comment. That's a Fort Worth ISD student, and I believe he's 17 years old. Let's give him a round of applause.
And Ms. Jackson, I believe our future mayor and president of the United States.
And you get to follow him right now.
I know. I follow two excellent speakers. I'm Stephen Poole with UEA. The last two budget workshops, I've sat and listened to projections for the 1920 school year and also projections forward. I thought it would be important to take a look back over the last 5 years of the budgets that you adopted and the deficits you adopted and how those deficits every single year turned into surpluses. So you can see in 13-14, you adopted a budget with a $9.4 million deficit that turned into a $4 million surplus, or a $13.5 million swing. 2015-16, I'm just choosing some numbers here, $18.8 million deficit that turned into a $13.9 million surplus. And last year, and Dr. Sutherland, this is my gift to you, numbers, $48 million deficit that turned into a $23 million surplus, or a $71 million variance. Also on the bottom there, I included fund balances, what you adopted every year and what it actually turned into. So in 13-14, you adopted a budget that would have left you with $151 million in fund balance, and at the end of last school year, it's a $213 million fund balance. I always like to go back and look. I'm one of those pack rats that keep all those documents. 5 years ago, it was predicted that in the 16-17 school year, we would end with a fund balance of $56.7 million. And here we are at the end of 16-17 having a $189 million fund balance. So I think it's important to see past patterns as a predictor of future budgets. Because I know there's always propositions for budget cuts based on future projections, but it's also important to take a look back at our past. And before I close, I just want to thank Ms. Moss for her years of service. And Ms. Needham, I'm a constituent of yours, so thank you for everything you've done. And Dr. Sutherland, thank you.
Trustee Ramos.
Thank you, President Jackson. I just want to take a quick second after public comment to recognize two of our elected officials, school board trustees from other districts that are visiting. We have Trustee Mac Melbontes from Lake Worth ISD. Good to see you, sir. And we also have the Honorable Holly Flynn Villaseca from Houston ISD in the house.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. And at this time,
Wait, I have a comment.
Yes, Dr. Sutherland.
Thank you. I just want to say it's nice to get credit for the World Languages Institute, but I have to say that a key part of this, I mean, a bunch of us put a terrible fight up, a very powerful fight, but it only came about because staff was able to find a place for the school. And I don't know if it's polite to give out the name of the staff person, but Jerry Moore did that. And we should all be very indebted to him for this, because you can make a big fire, but you don't get anywhere if there's no answer. And that's a very important part of when you try to make things change. You can't win if you don't have an answer. Thank you, Jerry.
Dr. Sutherland, I think it was probably polite. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I think so. Yes, ma'am. At this time, I'd like to ask if our outgoing trustees would like to make any comments. Trustee Needham.
Thank you, President Jackson, and I will be short. I want to thank all of the staff that are here and all the rest of our 11,000 plus staff. It has been my honor and a privilege to work with each of you and see how dedicated you are, and that we all work together for the best for the students. I don't know of a place I've ever been where I saw people work better from the top on down. And I just want to say thank you. And I look forward to watching you as I sit at home and watch it.
Dr. Sutherland?
I want to thank the constituents of District 6 for giving me a chance to serve the school district for 9 years. It's been a thrill and one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. I wish you well. You're in very good hands with Andar. Hope you'll support her the way you supported me, because it really makes a big difference to know that the people of your district are behind you. So thanks very much for a wonderful 9 years.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Trustee Moss.
Thank you. I almost said Dr. Jackson. Ms. Jackson, for this opportunity to say a few words. First, it's really been an honor and a privilege for me to serve 29 years on the Fort Worth ISD School Board. I want to first thank the constituents in District 3, because without the constituents voting, voting for me each election, I would not have been here. And I want to thank all of the administrators, all of the administrative staff, all of the principals and the staff in the schools, especially our teachers, because, you know, it all happens in the classroom. And so I have a special place in my heart for administrators and everyone in the school district, all of the employees. And I want to say a few words about the young man that's sitting here to my left. I know you know who he is, Dr. Scribner. I am so proud to serve in this district with Dr. Scribner, because he has been so supportive of equity. And without him, well, we chose you, Dr. Scribner. You didn't choose Fort Worth ISD. I know you're probably thinking twice now. But we chose you, and we are so proud. And I can say that because I think all of the board members are proud to work with you. And I can tell the incoming board members, without working, if you do not work as a team of 9 with your superintendent, you will not see student outcomes progress. It is almost a stumbling block when you have board members, you know, coming in with their own agenda. But I just want to say thank you, this entire school district, because I have not met any person in the district that didn't want to see students improve across Fort Worth ISD. And to the new board members, training will promote success for you as a board member. It is so important to get your school board trustee training up front. Also, how to evaluate a superintendent so that you'll do a good job when you evaluate Dr. Scribner. The other training, it's good to, I hope that you all will participate in the equity training. And the last one I'm going to say anything about is, please, the conference will be here in June. I encourage you to attend the workshop of how to be a board president. That is so important. When I came on the board, I was elected 29 years ago. They were, at that time, they were at the conferences then. So probably after I had been on the board for about 4 years, I attended how to be a board president. Excuse me, my sinuses are just crazy. But I attended the workshop, and my board president was there. So during that time, people that look like me, you were not going to be board president. However, when we got back to the board meeting, the president asked, why were you attending the board president session, the workshop? Are you planning to become board president? And I told him maybe one day, but the reason I attended the board president workshop was so that I would know what the board president was supposed to be doing. I would wanted to know his responsibilities because I didn't think he was supposed to have been telling me what to do. And sure enough, we were on the same level. We both had one vote. And we could do nothing alone. We needed all of the board members. So I just wanted you to know that it's not about what you're going to be or if you're going to be board president, but always know the responsibilities of the persons that you're working with so that they will not be out, excuse me, so that your board president will be doing the responsibilities as a board president and not covering your district, because that was one of the things I straightened out early on as a board member. I told the board president he was elected to be board president, and I was elected to serve District 3. So he needed to allow me to do my job, and he needed to do his. So anyway, I finally came out on top. I'm still here. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you all for being supportive of the board members over the years. And Dr. Scribner, you cannot imagine how I really feel about having to leave you here by yourself.
Trustee Moss, sometimes you're not through. Are you through this time? Thank you. We'll move on to number 6 on the agenda. And I do want to make one comment. We're losing, and I say losing, 7 decades of experience tonight. And the first 3 faces I saw when I walked in 9 years ago were those of Trustee Moss, Trustee Sims, and Trustee Needham. And it won't be the same here without you all. So instead of watching from home, please come and sit on the front row. Moving on to number 6, canvass vote of May 4th, 2019 election for districts 2, 3, 5, and 6. As the presiding officer of the Fort Worth ISD Canvassing Authority, we will move to items regarding the May 4th, 2019 election that was held for Fort Worth ISD trustee districts 2, 3, 5, and 6. Pursuant to section 67.003 of the Election Code, canvassing of votes by the Fort Worth ISD Board of Education must occur no later than the 11th day after the uniform election date. State law section 67.004, Texas Election Code, provides that 2 members of the school board constitute a quorum. For purpose of canvassing the May 4th, 2019 Fort Worth ISD School Board election, I do find indeed a quorum is present. Number 7 on the agenda, action adopting canvass results. I would now ask that each member of the Fort Worth ISD Canvassing Authority review the election result returns for the May 4th, 2019 school board election as provided by the Tarrant County Elections Administrator and from Amanda this evening. I want to make sure everybody's reviewed it first and then. I have a few more things I have to read. I have to read a few more things.
Do you need a motion or?
Yes, ma'am, I was waiting to see if everyone's through. Okay. Upon thorough review of the election returns, do I have a motion that we, as the Fort Worth ISD Canvassing Authority, hereby certify the following results? For single-member trustee District Number 2, Chad E. McCarty received 820 votes, and Toby Jackson received 1,418 votes. For single-member trustee District Number 3, Quentin Q. Phillips received 1,886 votes, and Cleveland Harris received 825 votes. For single-member District Number 5, Karen C.J. Evans received 2,477 votes, and Carla Morton received 1,857 votes. For single-member trustee District Number 6, Ann Dar received 3,099 votes, Lisa Saucedo received 1,267 votes, and Sandra A. Shelton received 664 votes. Motion has been moved by trustee Anael Luebanos and seconded by trustee Christine Moss. Is there any discussion? Please move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. This action certifies the results and approves the action of adopting canvassing results. Moving on to number 8, approve resolution and order declaring results of May 4th, 2019 trustee elections for districts 2, 3, 5, and 6. I present the Fort Worth ISD Board of Education the formal resolution and order declaring results of the May 4th, 2019 trustee election for districts 2, 3, 5, and 6. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution and order for declaring the results of the May 4th, 2019 trustee election for districts 2, 3, 5, and 6 be adopted by this board? Moved by trustee Norman Robbins, seconded by trustee Jacinto Ramos. Any discussion other than a Fort Worth ISD student? Or soon-to-be student. With there being no discussion, please move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. At this time, I would ask that each elected member be presented with his/her certificate of election and the statement of officer, beginning with District 2, to read aloud the statement and sign it. I, Toby Jackson, do solemnly swear, affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. District 2 Trustee, Fort Worth ISD. Will the elected member of District 3, Quentin Q. Phillips, please come forward? Will the elected member of District 5, C.J. Evans, please come forward? And will the elected member of District 6, Ann Dar, please come forward?
I, Quentin Phillips, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. District 3 Trustee.
I, Karen C.J. Evans, do solemnly affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. District 5 Trustee, Fort Worth ISD.
I, Ann Dar, do solemnly affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. Position of District 6 Trustee.
I would now ask that each elected board member come and stand next to Faye Daniels when you're called, where you will take your oath of office and sign the oath after it has been administered. We will begin with District 2. If you have family or friends to join you, they may come forward. First, I want to say thank you to each of you for being here, and thanks for all your help.
Ms. Jackson, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Toby Jackson,
I, Toby Jackson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of
Fort Worth ISD District 2 Trustee
Fort Worth ISD District 2 Trustee
of the State of Texas
of the State of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
so
help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the elected board member of District 3, Mr. Quentin Q. Phillips, please come forward?
Family and friends as well. Family and friends as well.
Stop 6, we on.
Mr. Phillips, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me, please? I, Quentin Phillips,
I, Quentin Phillips,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of
of
Fort Worth ISD District 3 trustee
Fort Worth ISD District 3 trustee
of the state of Texas
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Mrs. Moss is doing something here at the moment.
Big old head on the picture. Get my big old head on the picture. Should take my flowers off. Tell me, this was cool. This was fun. I was glad we all were standing. What's Mrs. Moss doing there? She's taking a picture with her family with the. Wait one second. Will the elected member of District 5, Karen C.J. Evans, please come forward?
Ms. Evans, please raise your right hand and please repeat after me. I, Karen C.J. Evans,
I, Karen C.J. Evans,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of
Fort
Worth ISD District 5 Trustee
Worth ISD District 5 Trustee
of the state of
of the
Texas
State of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
I guess I can turn. Will the elected member of District 6, Ann Dar, please come forward?
Come on, baby. You come over here by me.
Seriously.
It's okay.
Ms. Dar, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Ann Dar,
I, Ann Dar,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of
Fort
Worth ISD District 6 Trustee
Worth ISD District 6 Trustee
of the state of Texas
of the State of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Congratulations to each of you. Thanks to each of you that are here in the audience. We are going to take a 5-minute recess so people can take pictures, and then we will reconvene in the board conference room in 5 to 7 minutes.
When it's red, it's on.
In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:33 PM in the boardroom with a quorum present, recessed open session in the boardroom, and is now reconvened at 7:37 PM in open session in the board conference room with the quorum present. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Upon staff's recommendation, item 12B6 is being removed. Are there any questions regarding consent agenda? And please mark out 12B6, which was pulled. It was the approval, purchase of printer maintenance and warranty extensions for campuses. Everybody good? Well, that's cool. Guess what? You guys get to get up. You know my theory, no deep vein thromboses on my watch. We'll now recess for executive session in the board conference room as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Sections 551, 071, 2, 4, and 6.
like the best person in this whole school. We talk about wood, helping me learn.
I think success is a long-term process, and I think it's lots of little baby steps to get there. You celebrate every day where you're at, then visualize where you want them to go. I consider everybody in our classrooms my kids. What we work on in our classroom is getting everyone to believe not only they are special, but everyone else is special. I want to give them the confidence to know that they can do it. Children have a right to education. You are there to meet their needs. Your attitude can set the tone for the entire day. I do thumbs up, I do high fives, I do a wink. They just want that interaction with you. It takes you where you need to go with the student. They know if you're real. I'm grateful to Fort Worth ISD. They helped develop me as the teacher I am today.
She's awesome. She's very nice and she wants us to be successful.
My number one goal when students walk into my room is that they all like math when they leave. I want them to really understand where math can take them. I love to hear the different ways that they get to answers because that teaches me how they're thinking. I think I'm at my best in the classroom when I hear students teaching. I tell them all the time we want to be teachers and not tellers. Just hearing them sound like me makes me have a good day.
She's always on point. She doesn't want to waste time.
I just involve them in any and all parts of my teaching that I possibly can. I try to meet them where they are. That relationship helps them to trust me.
She cares about us because she wants us to pass the grade.
I had a student this year. She said, Ms. Bennett, I don't like math. Very beginning of the year, I said, okay, Ruby, that's my challenge. Just a few weeks ago, she said, Ms. Bennett, you're going to retire. I'm going to come back and take your place as a math teacher. If you're going to be a teacher, just love what you do. And at the end of the day, someone's going to call you a hero.
She's nice. We hug her. She's the awesome teacher ever.
Success in the classroom is when I see my kids having so much fun, they don't even realize they're learning.
She loves us.
A classroom that's full of love, laughter, smiles, and high fives is a classroom I want to be in. We do high fives all the time. Our classroom is very fun. They love to create in the Puppet Center. They love to display their writing. They love to build with the blocks. They love to be creative. Success in the classroom is built on strong relationships. A teacher should create a safe, consistent, fair, and inviting learning environment so that all students can succeed. They know I'm passionate because I move my hands so much. And I give them engaging activities that they in turn get excited about. We want them to know that school is a place that is safe for them and that their teachers love them. Teaching is very rewarding. You will work so hard every day because you're going to realize the profound privilege that parents have given you by allowing you to take care of their child day in and day out.
She is smart and very fun.
A good day, really just a day where kids are laughing and we're learning. A lot of times there's music.
I just need somebody.
This group really likes Help by the Beatles. So they all kind of stop and dance and sing to that one. Take the time to enjoy those fun times in the moment. Listen to the joke. Let the kids share. Read a book just because it's interesting or funny. Students expect teachers to be good listeners as well as speakers. Success. Them working together and to work through when stuff is hard. If you are struggling with reading, we just keep working at it until it's easier. When I came to Fort Worth ISD 4 years ago and started working at Worth Heights, I was amazed at the warm welcome I had, and it is really a lot like a family there. Everyone in this district has a passion for kids and a passion for their future, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
She's very important in my life.
Teaching is rewarding, but it's hard work. But there are moments that make everything worthwhile. And most of the time, if you really look for them, they happen every day.
She's amazing. She's very energetic. She helped me read better.
Every student deserves a good teacher. I love interacting. I love letting them know that this is the real world. I've been known to do a little dancing.
It's really funny when she does it.
They don't think I can dance very good, but I'll do like solid, solid. And so I incorporate all this into, like recently, science. Reflection is the bouncing back of life. It's hands-on. they're really doing what they're supposed to be doing. I know some people might walk in and think that they're not, but they really are. Like, I made learning fun, I feel like. I want them to know that I just love them because they're going through a lot in their lives and that I'm one stable person in their life that they can count on.
She was always the one who was there for me.
I'm a big believer in relationships, and I love to hear how respectful they are to each other. And I think that comes from me being open. I hope that they will leave the classroom knowing that I truly, truly care about them. I truly believe I'm meant to be at Seminary Hills Park and Fort Worth ISD because of the kids. Teaching is the best profession ever.
Miss Carr is great. She's like one of my favorites.
She makes an effort to work with us.
She'll make like jokes that sometimes they aren't like really funny.
There's not a secret behind solving math problems,
But it's funny because they aren't funny.
Success in the classroom for me is when my students are not only having fun, but they're engaged in whatever they're doing. They know that it is truly a learning environment. They have those moments where they actually get excited and they get passionate about the content.
Making us actually get up and walk around helps to get brain working.
There's more than one way to get to the solution of a problem, and I think that allows them to be great problem solvers. Sometimes it's just a matter of confidence. It's not a matter of ability. To hear the conversations and how they have taken ownership of their learning, in my opinion, is truly amazing. They make my job a lot easier. I really facilitate the learning in class, which is really what I want the environment to be. The relationships and the impact that you have with the students is what's truly amazing in teaching.
This represents all of my students at Diamond Hill Jarvis High School. I'm a safe motorcycle rider. Every one of my students had an opportunity to sign this helmet. You are the best teacher in the world. Haley with a heart, we love you. They are the reason I teach.
She cares about every student in her class.
They are the reason I come to work every day.
It's fun, it doesn't bore you.
I think because I love what I do, it's a little bit easier for me to help them love what I do.
She's honestly everything you could ask for.
Success is not just a number on a paper, but rather the process of completing a task that's challenging.
She does all the extra work to prepare us.
Although the data is important, the person behind that data is far more important. I try really hard to talk one-on-one with the kids and figure out who they are and what they need. I hope they walk out knowing that they are better human beings, not just in the classroom, but in our community. It's not an easy job. If you don't love kids, please don't do it. If you're a really good teacher, it's 24/7 because you will worry about them, you will care about them. I love where I'm at and I love what I do. So I love my campus, I love my kids, I love my community. It's home.
Such an excellent teacher.
She's my go-to person at the school.
She's not just a teacher, she's a mentor.
She knows so much.
I got into Fort Worth ISD as fast as I could, and not did I just want to teach, but I wanted to teach at TABS. Success in the classroom is whenever we have a lab day, because that's really engaging and giving them the skills that they need to have to be career and college ready. That's really awesome that they can have this experience as a high school student. My students that have already graduated and have come back have said that the skills that they've learned in our lab have helped them to excel in their college labs. Students should expect their teachers to be knowledgeable in the classroom, but also to help them accomplish their life goals. You just have to listen to what they're saying. Students really come alive and they really want to work harder for you if they know that you're there for them. Teaching is not 8 to 3. That is not teaching. Parents are actually letting you mentor their child. What a great honor that is.
She's one of my favorite teachers.
All of us enjoy spending time with her. And she's just an enjoyable person.
I'm really lucky because every day is a good day in my classroom. I'm having a good day when I've listened to my students and I've learned something from them. I celebrate what they like. I celebrate the things they love. I ask for their input on what are we going to do. Kids like to be able to tell you what they want to learn and then have you teach it to them.
A wonderful art teacher, but slightly quirky at times.
I do make art fun, so I want them to leave art feeling good about themselves. Teaching is hard. The great thing about teaching is that it matters. The hard thing about teaching is it matters every single moment. You really have to focus on the kid in front of you. You teach one child, but that child touches a whole world, and so your impact is not just on that child, your impact is on the world that that child moves through. Every child who leaves my room believes that I care about them and that I'm invested in their growth as a human being and as an artist.
She's amazing. She's really an amazing person to have in your life.
I consider her my second mother. Probably the best teacher at the school.
I know I'm having a great day when I see smiles on my students, especially when they walk into class.
As soon as you step in her classroom, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different vibe.
I know I'm having a good day when I see those light bulb moments. It's like, oh yeah, a student finally understanding something. Success looks like me as a teacher being able to take a step back and allowing the students to really take ownership of their learning. Students should expect their teachers to set them up for success and be able to take on that challenge. I'm definitely able to make learning fun. Whatever they want to do, I want them to believe in themselves. I belong in Fort Worth ISD because of my students. The ones that I've had, the ones that I have, and the ones that I'm going to have. Teaching is not a 8:15 to 3:40 job. You are going to think about your students all the time. I know I belong in Fort Worth ISD because it's home.
Something that is really interesting in this piece, as you can see, Christ is wearing a very bright red color to catch your attention.
The valley behind her, it represents stone, like what she's going to be like when she gets turned into stone.
Global Gallery Night is a partnership with Kimball Art Museum. It gives Fort Worth ISD language students the opportunity to really immerse themselves in the art that represents the culture that they are studying.
It was really fun going around to see the different presentations from different cultures from all around.
Contó mucho trabajo para poder explicar mis ideas, gracias a que tuve que entrenarme en casa para poder explicar mis ideas de una manera apropiada.
Usually do sculptures with smiling people. The teeth really caught my attention because they're like, if you can see closely, they're not like close together, they have like little gaps.
What we hope is that this experience allows students to continue their study in art, to really develop their love for wanting to learn and explore and really dive deep into other cultures so that they do develop a new perspective of exactly what other cultures experience.
He was set to sacrifice his daughter. Achilles draws for his sword, but he gives him a look as if like, put it down.
Welcome to Fort Worth ISD's Partner and Volunteer Appreciation Luncheon. In this room this afternoon, we have guests who represent civic groups, community organizations, nonprofits, churches, the military, government offices, and businesses, large and small. This year, nearly 13,000 volunteers have logged more than 42,000 hours in service to our schools.
This is the Vocal Warriors from Wedgwood 6th Grade Center. Please welcome the Vocal Warriors.
Benefits have been tremendous. We have students who look forward to that time with their partners. We've seen them become more vocal, just better leaders in our community.
And I always tell my students that reading is the most important thing they can do to be successful in school.
And when you have individuals who take the time, they come, they work with your kiddos, they work with your young scholars who are first and second graders, and you just see the light bulb go off.
Teach a child to read, give a child a chance. Maybe you would like to join us in doing just that.
Through our community partners that we've been able to support our staff, our students, and our families beyond the classroom and beyond the doors.
I want to remind you that all kids have potential. My kid, your kids. It's giving them pathways and options to fulfill that potential.
We hope you enjoyed your time today, that you leave, as I am leaving, inspired and energized by the future that awaits us. Please remember, you belong here, aquí perteneces, and I thank you again for your investment in our students. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Coming May 25th,
a time clock system to serve you better. Yes, you. Every Fort Worth ISD employee will use the upgraded Kronos time management system in some way. Whether you're an exempt employee, those who do not clock in and do not earn overtime, or a non-exempt employee who punches in and out and is eligible for overtime. Or, in the case of most teachers, exempt but work extra duty. This new system keeps track of it all, and you can access it all. You'll be able to check your sick day, personal day, and vacation day balances in real time instead of the previous pay period. Review your time card on your time to make sure you're paid the money you've earned. You'll have access to the timekeeping system on your personal computer. And if you download the Kronos app, you'll be able to use most smartphones to perform the majority of these functions. As with any new system, some training is required. Check your email for the new timekeeping system message that contains instructions for viewing training videos. These video courses let you customize your training to meet your specific needs. As we said, the new system goes live May 25th, so be sure to set aside 15 to 20 minutes before the launch to watch the training videos that apply to you. It's about time. Your time.
I think when they walk in and they see what they have done in the room, that they'll be extremely excited about it.
Today we're taking this Western Hills classroom and transforming it into a Lockheed Martin Skunk Works advanced laboratory.
The future is in the STEM areas, and Lockheed Martin's a great company and a great example of that. Their workforce is in our classrooms today.
They're taking a 2D model that they've worked over the weeks and turning it into a 3D model of an aircraft that they could use to support a humanitarian crisis.
The materials are wood dowels, they have aluminum foil, they have clay, and then they have some wire. And what they're asked to do is basically create a structure and then utilize the different materials to create dynamics. So it has to be light, it has to be able to achieve the mission that it was designed for.
With me, I like to design things, and doing something like this allows me to actually get hands-on instead of all digital is what I usually do.
The head, or the bigger the foil is, the more drag it's going to act.
Very important for our students because it teaches them to think outside the box, and activities like this actually make them look at how to make everything mesh together and how they can apply things in ways they've never thought of.
It's a great opportunity. I love it. It gives you a lot of opportunity to be who you are if you want to be an engineer.
We're trying to achieve learning to a level in education that will inspire them beyond this classroom.
This gives me a possibility of actually being an engineer in the future.
This is an extraordinary opportunity for these students.
We're making an airship.
And one that I hope they'll remember for all their lives.
accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:33 p.m. in this boardroom with the quorum present. We recessed and reconvened open session in the board conference room, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 8:33 p.m. in the boardroom with the quorum present. We're on number 16 of the agenda, which is to accept our consent agenda with the exception of item 12B6. Do I have a motion? Moved by Trustee Luebanos, seconded by Trustee Ramos. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. Number 17 on the agenda, action items. 17B is personnel. Trustee Luebanos, do you have a motion?
I move to approve the appointment of Daphne Rickard as CTA Executive Director and Alexander Addison as Staff Attorney.
Motion is moved by Trustee Luebanos, seconded by Trustee Jackson. Please move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. 18, with no action required on items A, B, and C, we will continue to item D. Trustee Paz.
I move to approve the recommendation to terminate the probationary contracts of Phyllis Nicholas and Misty Ruthermond at the end of the contract term in the best interest of the district.
Motion is moved by Trustee Paz. If we could enter that, and we need a second, please. Second by Trustee Robbins. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's please move to voting by hands. Please raise your right hand for a yay. Appears to be unanimous. Moving on to 18E. Council, who has the motion for 18E? Is that just move? Okay. Yeah, I had a name on here, and I think that was wrong. 18E, take action on recommendation to renew and to award probationary and term Chapter 21 employment contracts of specified certified employees for the 2019-2020 contract year, including but not limited to teachers, campus professionals, campus administrators, principals, directors, assistant superintendents, and executive officers. Moved by Trustee Paz, seconded by Trustee Luebanos. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. 18F, approves second reading revision to Board Policy DHE Local. At the recommendation of staff, that was removed. 18G, nomination of representative to serve on the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB Board of Directors. Trustee Quentin Q. Phillips, do you have a motion, sir?
Yes. I move to nominate Trustee Acito Ramos Jr. as representative to serve on the Texas Association of School Boards Board of Directors.
Motion is moved by Trustee Phillips, seconded by Trustee Paz. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, please move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. The Level 3 grievance is canceled. It will not be heard this evening. So we'll move on to 19, comments by board members, superintendent on current district activities, announcements. Trustee Ramos.
That was quick, President Jackson.
Yes, sir.
I just want to welcome our new colleagues. It's a new day in Fort Worth Independent School District, and looking forward to working with each and every one of you. So welcome to the board.
Trustee Robbins.
Thank you, President Jackson. I would like to second that. We look forward to working with all of you. I think we're going to be re-energized and very grateful for your service. So very much look forward to it. I have one other thing I'd like to make everyone aware of. The 2018-2019 Benbrook baseball team is on an incredible run, considering that this is just their third year of existence. The team has made the playoffs all 3 years, and this year they won their first district championship. They are currently still playing after winning the by-districts championship, and this past weekend the team won the area championship. The team has an amazing record of 24-4-2. They have scored an astonishing 235 runs while holding their opponents to only 70. The amazing pitching staff has thrown 3 no-hitters by 3 different pitchers, one of those a perfect game, 9 shutouts, and 17 games giving up 2 or fewer runs. The team has not let the obstacles placed in their place hinder their quest for state championship. For the last 5 years, the Benbrook baseball program has not had the luxury of other teams of practicing or playing on a true home field. The entire baseball program at Benbrook has had to ride a bus 32 miles each way that they practice or they play a game. The players came up with a slogan, "No field, no problem." These players are a true testament of their determination and play for the love of the game. Let's wish them the best as they continue to pursue excellence under very trying conditions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Robbins. Trustee Luebanos.
I want to welcome all the 3 new elected board members today to the school board, like Jacinto and Mr. Norman. I just mentioned, welcome on board and look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. And I, too, would like to welcome everyone and make a quick announcement. Trustee T.A. Sims is recovering, and I spoke to him for about a minute last week, and he sounded great. He sounded like himself, but he didn't want to talk too long. So anyway, I think he's focused on his recovery. So let's all keep him in our prayers and our thoughts and look forward to having him back soon. And on that, we will adjourn.